I now hand the conference over to Mr. Sunil Bohra, Group CFO, Minda Industries. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Malika. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all the participants. I hope you all are keeping safe and healthy. These are unprecedented times. Please take care of yourselves and your near ones. On the earnings update call today, I am joined by my colleague Ankur Modi, Head of Treasury and IR, and SGA, our IR advisors. We hope you have had a chance to look at our financial results and presentation that is uploaded on Stock Exchange as well as the company website. I will briefly discuss about the business landscape and then update on our performance in the preceding quarter, following which we will be happy to respond to your queries. As you must be aware, the close of fourth quarter was affected by the second wave of COVID. The intensity of the second wave was much more severe than last year. The announcement of lockdowns in April by the state governments like Maharashtra, Delhi, Tamil Nadu resulted in many OEMs cutting down production or shutting down their plants altogether. This was reflected in the auto sales number for April and May, which have showed considerable degrowth on a quarter-on-quarter basis. But as the new infection cases have started to drop and the pace of vaccination has improved, the lockdown restrictions have started to ease out, indicating improved demand and better capacity utilization for OEMs. Personal vehicle sales might see a swift recovery as the economic activity picks up and preference for personal mobility may further fuel the demand. Also, the probability of third wave might make an increasing number of people opt for a personal vehicle. The second wave affected the rural areas as well. Hence, we believe the demand for two-wheelers might take some time before it normalizes. But positive lead indicators like a forecast of normal monsoon, higher rabi crop sowing than last year, and financial measures included in this year's national budget will act as a fillip to the rural economy. The initial few days of June has been much better than May. The supply chain is more robust this time around and a faster recovery of demand is expected. As you are aware that merger of Harita Seating Systems Limited and 4 holding companies with Minda Industries were completed on 1st of April 2021. The merger was effective from 1st April 2019. Hence, the company has given effect to the scheme as per Ind AS 103, i.e. business combinations, in the standalone and consolidated financials with effect from appointed date, that is 1st April 2019. Accordingly, the figures of previous period or previous year have been restated to include Harita's financials. Further, the board of directors of the company have approved purchase of remaining 49% stake from the existing JV partner FS Ferrer GmbH in subsidiary Harita Ferrer Limited for a purchase consideration of 115 crores. Harita Ferrer will become a wholly owned subsidiary of Minda Industries after it purchases a 49% shareholding of Ferrer GmbH in the joint venture. As per the accounting norms, we have already considered 100% of Harita Ferrer Limited financials while consolidating the results. Coming to our quarterly performance, you may refer to slide number 6. At consolidated level during Q4 of FY21, the company reported its highest ever quarterly revenue of rupees 2,238 crores as against 1,498 crores for Q4 of FY20, registering a growth of 49% year-on-year. This, as you will note, is significantly higher than the overall industry volume growth of 31% during the same period. The revenue for Q3 FY21 was rupees 2,031 crores, implying a quarter-on-quarter growth of 10%. The growth momentum from Q3 had continued in Q4 as well. We were operating at around 85 to 95% utilization at most of our plants to cater to these robust demand. EBITDA for Q4 FY21 was at 702 crores in comparison to EBITDA of 140 crores for corresponding quarter, i.e. Q4 of FY20. The EBITDA margin has also improved significantly on year-on-year basis from 19.3% to 13.5% in the current quarter due to better operating leverage and sustained cost control. During this period, the interest costs have reduced from 22 crore to 15 crore as debt have come down due to prepayment of some of the borrowings and also renegotiation of interest rate downward on some of our loans, resulting in lower interest expenses. Depreciation has increased from 89 to 107 crore on account of capitalization of new projects, mainly two-wheeler alloy wheel, sensors, etc. The profit before tax of for Q4 FY21 was at 190 crores as against PBT of 33.6 crore in Q4 of FY20, registering a growth of over 4.5 times. The profit after tax, which is the Minda Industries share, for the quarter was at 140 crores as against 13 crores in the corresponding quarter last year, an increase of 10x, and it was 115 crores in Q3 FY21, an increase of 21%. We would also like to highlight that Q4 has been historically better quarters in terms of financial performance. One of the reasons is the price revision and adjustments with OEM during the quarter. Some of our associates JVs have also received retrospective price adjustments during the quarter, resulting in better share of profits of associates and joint ventures. Besides, our infotainment business did well during the quarter on back of good orders. While most of our businesses have done well, there are few businesses which are under incubation or a nascent stage which have underperformed. Couple of these businesses are Minda Onkyo and Minda TTE DAPS. Accordingly, as per the accounting rules, we have taken an impairment provision of rupees 10 crore in standalone results for the quarter. As you know, in consolidated financials, the share of loss is already been accounted for. Moving on to the annual performance, you may refer to slide 7. The company reported annual revenue of 6,374 crores for FY21 as against 6,222 crores for FY20, registering a growth of 2.4% year-on-year. As you can see, Harita Seating division sales have decreased during the year due to the pandemic and lower recovery on CVs in comparison to two-wheelers and PVs. Excluding Harita, our consolidated revenues for the same period have grown by 5% roughly, despite Q1 FY21 significantly impacted due to lockdown. EBITDA for full year was at 725 crores in comparison to EBITDA of 672 for FY20. The EBITDA margin also has improved on year-on-year basis from 10.8 to 9.4%. The profit before tax for full year FY21 was at 325 crores as against PBT of 244 crores in FY20, registering a growth of 33%. The profit after tax after minority was at 207 crores as against 155 in FY 2020. The board has also recommended a final dividend of rupees 0.50 per share, which is 25% of face value, reflecting commitment from the company to returning value to shareholders on a consistent basis. The company has also paid interim dividend of 0.35 per share in February, making total dividend of 0.85 per share for FY21, translating into dividend payout ratio of 11.2%. Moving to the product lines, you may please refer to slide 9 and 10. Starting with switching system, the segment achieved a revenue of 575 crores for Q4, contributing about 26% of total consolidated turnover, while the revenue for full year was 814 crores, contributing to 28% to the full year revenue. For two-wheeler switches, we have acquired new business from an iconic American motorcycle manufacturer, which has been a big breakthrough for the company. For two-wheeler switches, we have received orders for self-designed anti-pinch power window, main and sub-switch power socket, an order also from a Korean OEM for supply to Russia and Indonesia market, and also complete switches order, which is the 30 number of switches for a model for a Japanese OEM in India. Moving to the lighting business, it achieved revenue of 486 crores for Q4, contributing to 22% of our total turnover. The full year contribution was also 22%, amounting to 417 crores. We have received orders to supply lights to traditional two-wheeler OEMs and now looking to increase volumes there. We have also got first-time entry into global European automaker for supply of four-wheel lights. Moving to our casting business, it has achieved revenue of 319 crores for Q4, contributing to 14% of our total turnover. The full year contribution was 12%, amounting to 748 crores. The two-wheeler alloy wheel project, 3 lines has been commissioned, and the 4th line is set to be commissioned in Q2 of FY22. The capacity expansion for 4-wheel alloy wheel at Bawal is under progress. Moving to acoustics business, the business has achieved revenue of 167 crores for Q4, contributing 7% of our total turnover, while it contributed 10% to the full year revenue amounting to 607 crores. Our European subsidiary Clarton Horn has received new orders from Japanese and American OEMs. Our seating business achieved revenue of 252 crores for Q4, contributing 11% to total revenue, and 650 for FY21, contributing 10% to the full year revenue. Moving to other product businesses, it has achieved revenue of 440 crores for Q4, contributing 20% of overall top line. These businesses mainly comprise of sensors, which delivered for 64 crores, Catalog at 34 crores, and blow molding business at 54 crores. Lastly, the battery business at 38 crores. The revenue for full year from other businesses was 1138 crores, contributing 18%, mainly comprising of sensors at 171 crores, Catalog at 102, blow molding at 158, and battery business of 115 crores. Moving to slide number 11. In terms of our revenue pie for the quarter and full year ended March 31, 2021, OEM business accounted for 89% in Q4 and 88% for the full year of total revenue, and aftermarket business around 11% for Q4 and 12% for FY21. Our sales from international market, i.e. export from India plus sales from overseas operations, stand at 16% of total consolidated revenues. With increased focus on exports, we endeavor to increase the same in coming years. Our aftermarket channel continues to record strong performance and has achieved a revenue of 235 crores during Q4 FY21, which is a 74% increase year on year. Annual sales for FY21 from aftermarket channel stand at 741 crore as against 558 crore in FY20, registering a growth of 33%. Alloy wheels had been added to the product portfolio, and we are planning to add seatings this year. Over the years, we have built a strong network of 40,000 plus retailers for our aftermarket channel. Aftermarket is also exporting its product to SAARC, ASEAN, LATAM, MENA, and Africa markets. We have leadership position in all our major products category. Moving to slide number 16 on the EV. In line with global macro trends of connectivity, autonomous and shared mobility, and electrification, Minda Industries has also been tracking the macro trends for India, and electrification is now one of the focus area from a technology perspective. Moving to next slide. Focusing on the EV trend and evaluating our product portfolio, almost all our products can be supplied to EVs as well barring few like fuel caps, CNG kits, canister, etc. We have well diversified hedge product portfolio for EV trend. In fact, EVs will create incremental business opportunities for us in terms of premiumization of existing products like LED lamps and sensors, along with opportunity to develop new EV specific products. We have been working to upgrade our existing group products to meet requirements of electrical vehicles like low energy consumption and light weighting. Example, LED headlamps, tail lamps, side indicators, low current switches, and electronic horns. We have also launched few new products specifically for EV like range from our existing divisions like sensors. Example, accelerator position sensor or a brake pedal sensor or a EV battery temperature sensor. Moving to slide 19. For the last couple of years, we have also been working on a completely new range of products for electric vehicles, which were not as part of our product portfolio. These products are synergetic to our group products and are mainly in the area of electrical and electronics. These products are mainly focused on low voltage electric vehicles like two-wheelers and three-wheelers. We believe that this segment of the market will have the largest and quickest adoption of EV, primarily because of less dependency on the charging infrastructure. Our focus new products for two-wheel and three-wheelers in EVs include ECUs, DC-DC converters, onboard and offboard chargers, telematic control units, and smart plugs. We have also been developing battery management system for lithium-ion batteries along with our technical partners in the US. Out of this range of products, ECU and smart plug went into production this year, while ECUs, battery management system, DC-DC converter, and onboard charger are under development stages. We are also evaluating motor controller as product, and same is under study as of now. Moving to next slide. These new products, along with our existing products for EVs, have potential kit value of 33,000 rupees, of which 7,300 comprises of existing products and 2,000 pertaining to positive impact on lights and sensors. Product under production has potential kit value of 4,500 and remaining from product under development or study. We are already well entrenched with traditional OEMs and have already been supplying parts to their new EV launches, received orders from leading OEMs for products under development. We can continue to leverage our relationship with these OEMs for supply as the volume increases. Besides, we are also positively engaged with all new age OEMs and have shortlisted top 4 to 5 to engage and supply directly to them. We also plan to supply our EV products to our aftermarket channel. Moving to cash flows and debt levels, we had healthy cash flows during the year in spite of substantial increase in working capital requirement post-lockdown. It may be noted that there was substantial release of working capital, which is over around 200 crore during the last quarter of FY20 due to lockdown. The same was required to be redeployed in subsequent quarter once the business resumed. During the second half of the year, the working capital requirement also increased due to increased business activity and also the working capital in newly commissioned two-wheeler alloy wheel business. We incurred total capex of 276 crore during the year, comprising of two-wheeler alloy wheel business, sensors and sustaining capex. We have also invested around 112 crore in subsidiaries, joint ventures, mainly comprising of TRMN and TGSL. TRMN and TG Minda for acquisition of TGSL. As you know, we had raised 241 crore through right issue in September 20, and majority of the proceeds were used to debt. Accordingly, net debt as of March 31, 21 were at 798 crore compared to 856 crore as on March 31, 2020. Our net debt to equity ratio is at a healthy rate of 0.3 compared to 0.4 in March 20. I would like to cover some of the announcements that we have made in the last few months since our last earnings call. With regard to our capex, we have announced an additional capacity at Gujarat for four-wheeler automotive lighting business to cater to our increased demand for four-wheel automotive lighting. Total capital expenditure for this new facility in Gujarat is 90 crores. The plant is expected to commence operations by quarter ending March 22. We have also announced a capacity expansion at four-wheel alloy wheel business. The expansion will be at the plant in Bawal, and it will add 60,000 wheels a month to cater to increased demand. The additional capital expenditure for the aforesaid capacity expansion will be around 167 crores. The expanded facilities are expected to commence operations by quarter ending March 22 and expected to stabilize by June 22. Besides, we had announced capex of 57 crore for our blow molding business for setting up plant in Bangalore. We have planned these capexes to augment the future demand being generated by the shift in the lighting industry towards LED for lighting, customer preference towards alloy wheels, and customer demand for blow molding products. Out of the above announced capex, plus some spillover capex of sensors and two-wheeler alloy wheel, around 350 crore will be incurred in FY22, and part of it may spill it to the next financial year. We have also been, as you know, controlling our maintenance capex for last 3-4 years, considering the downturn in the demand, as industry growth was also muted. Considering low maintenance capex in these last 2 years, we will be incurring around 250 crore of sustaining capex in FY22. Moving to organization business transformation, we have also undertaken a realignment of business domains based on similar technologies under one domain to drive synergies between related business. As part of this initiative, we have focused on strengthening of our board, realignment of our business verticals to drive synergy among the similar product and technologies. We have recalibrated certain functions like procurement, R&D, and marketing to bring in increased control and efficiency. More emphasis will be given to international export sales, and we are exploring certain steps like to open offices and international locations that brings us closer to the global OEMs and helps us establish better understanding and relationships. In terms of strategic business update, just brief about Ferrer, which we will be acquiring their 49% at 115 crore. And as part of our corporate restructuring process, post dilution of 1.1% stake in Minda TG, however, it has now become an associate company and ceased to be subsidiary company. Additionally, we have made further investment in TRMN, Toka Minda, and increased our stake from 12.8 to 30%. I would also like to highlight that during the year, the group has taken a lot of initiatives which are expected to have environmental benefits and improve sustainability of the organization. We have been working to reduce the energy consumption, water consumption, CO2 emission, and waste reduction, reduce operational costs. We have set up Green Belt Plantation Drive covering 40% green area for new plants. We are also undertaking water conservation projects with an aim to reduce water consumption by 10% in 2022. With the aim of reducing our carbon footprint, we have been investing in renewables energy. We have now installed 8.4 megawatts of rooftop solar cells across 20 plants contributing 10% of power requirement of the group. We target to further increase renewable energy to 15% by end of FY22. That's it from us. I would like now to open the floor for questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ashutosh Tiwari from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Congrats on strong set of numbers. Firstly, sir, we mentioned that we have done almost very well in this aftermarket area, almost 740 crores, and in fact Q4 revenue set is 230 crores. So from a run rate of say around 570, 560 crores on an annual basis, we've gone to almost like 900 crore revenue per year. So what have you done differently this year in terms of like, is it driven by network expansion in aftermarket or addition of new product? What has driven this strong growth in FY21, sorry?
Yeah. So thanks, Ashutosh. So there are 2-3 factors which have helped us deliver the excellent growth in aftermarket. So first and foremost is our focus on addition of quality dealers. We have been aggressively adding dealers without taking any credit risk, and going to areas where we have not gone earlier. We have also launched some of the products which have not been part of this aftermarket channel. 4-wheel alloy wheel is one of them, which obviously you know is a high value item. Then another battery segment has done pretty well in the aftermarket, as we shared the revenue numbers also. And also we have added some of other components like air brakes, etc. from our other JV into aftermarket. So we have been working on all fronts to see that we have a lot of emphasis on not only the aftermarket sales, but also adding products and also going to new areas like we spoke about SAARC, MENA and outside of country also. So we have been going very aggressively on our aftermarket channel, and we will be taking further actions even this year and see that how do we further capitalize on the aftermarket demand, because we all know that aftermarket is a business which is not dependent on the direct OE sales, plus also here because it's sort of a B2C business, the business is there is a lot of stability, and as number of volumes grow on the street, definitely the replacement and aftermarket needs of the components also grow in the same proportion. So from all perspective, aftermarket is a vertical where we are all working aggressively to see that we grow this to maybe taking double from where we ended last year in next 3 years.
Okay. So this alloy wheel, has that contributed significantly to this 230 crore number in the last quarter or for the full year? Is it like more than 100 crores for full year?
No. As a country also, we don't have so much of aftermarket sale. So aftermarket sale roughly for the last quarter, maybe we can get you the exact numbers. My understanding is it's not more than 10-15 crores for a quarter.
Sorry, how much you said? 10-15 crores for a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. For a different.
Yeah.
So it is more driven by the other products that we had earlier and probably expanding network so far, and probably going into this year, alloy will further grow, and you're saying that you'll add seats. So I think this, okay. So this will go faster. Secondly, the question is on others in your segmental. I think you mentioned some breakup of that, but on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the revenue has gone from almost like 288 to 450-70 crores basically. So what drove this strong growth quarter-on-quarter in other segment, and is it sustainable numbers?
Yeah. So in others, you see that there are 2-3 key businesses which are doing pretty well and expected to do that. So sensors, we have been going very aggressively. So sensor has done almost 64 crores in the quarter. I think previous quarter was below 50. It was 47 or 48. Then Catrolec has also done almost 10 odd crores better. Blow molding has done a little more than that. Battery business has done also more than that. So almost every business has actually contributed in the other segment.
So these numbers of others on quarterly basis are sustainable, bearing Q1, I'm saying.
Sorry?
This other segment revenue is kind of sustainable, bearing Q1 impact of COVID, basically. So if you remove Q1, I think going ahead.
Absolutely. Excluding the COVID impact, obviously we all know that our destiny is linked to the number of vehicles being sold. So assuming the same number of vehicles, we should have this kind of numbers.
Okay. And sir, lastly, this Harita, I think is for last 2 quarters is operating around say 10% kind of EBITDA margin. So how we plan to improve this further in this segment? Also, now that we acquired full company is now under our control, how are we looking at growth in Harita?
So growth in Harita, Ashutosh, we know that when we acquired, and we have been talking for last 1 year. So year before, while this year has the sales has been 650 crore, year before it has been 750 crore, and we have been very clear that we want to double this company in 4 to 5 years, and we are pretty confident that we should be able to reach that target of doubling from 750, not from 650, but from 750. We should be doubling in next 3 to 4 years max.
Okay. Okay. And also margin should also improve with revenue growth.
So focus as of now definitely is on increasing sales, and if you are able to increase sales, definitely the operating leverage does help in improving margins a bit.
Okay, so thanks a lot and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Siddhartha Bera from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity and congrats on a great set of results. Sir, my first question is on this kit value which we have shown. If we see this is some clarification. I mean, if I compared to the last year, I mean FY20 the kit value has been brought down, and 21 we have given a number. So just wanted to understand first what all things are included here and why this lower number for the last year.
Which sheet you are looking at, Siddharth?
The kit value for the two-wheeler and PVs which we have shown this time, like slide 13 of your presentation.
Ankur, you want to take that question?
Yeah. So Siddharth, I think last year there were a few items which were considered in last year itself, which was primarily two-wheeler alloy wheels as well as seatings business. But in actual, these divisions have come into operation this year. So we have just moved these items from a last year's kit value to this year's kit value. And that's causing the increase as well. Primarily, the kit value is increasing because of mainly these 2 product segments which we have added.
Understood. So from these levels which we have reported now, so what are the future drivers of growth from here on? If you can just throw some light on the components which we are which we plan to do in the next couple of years, which can push this even more.
Yeah. So Siddharth, I think on our existing businesses, while we are working consistently to increase the kit value like additional side stand switch or touch switch, the switches which are currently lever based might go to touch-based switches, but they are all technologies which are road ahead and can increase the kit value of existing products. Now, unless you add more products, which we are not very, very aggressive on, I think we also mentioned a few quarters back that the focus now is more on vertical growth than the horizontal growth, which means that we actually increase the sales of our existing products rather than adding newer products. So that might not in maybe increasing the kit value, because where position we are, we already have a lot of components, lot of businesses, and the focus is to grow vertically, not horizontally. That's number one. Number two, in terms of also the future growth, as I think we have shared on the EV slide, the kit value is growing multifold based on whatever components we are currently working on. Now, obviously, it's like anybody's guess. How deep will be the penetration of EVs, whether it will be 1%, 4%, 5% in next 2-3 years. So definitely subject to that, we are working now, putting more energy on the technologies or products for future. That is the EV.
Understood, sir. But for now, would you have some visibility on the order book which you have for the EV products which are under development, which you have highlighted in the presentation?
Yes, so we did share the kit value. The vehicles are not, number of vehicles are not that big, so obviously there is no point as of now in pointing out absolute numbers. But if you see in terms of the kit value, it's pretty sizable.
And any idea about the clients, sir, which we are planning to cater to for now in the EV segment, in the two-wheeler side?
So as we mentioned, Siddharth, little while back, that we are actually in the discussion with all the existing OEMs. We have got very, very strong relationship with them, and some of them we are already suppliers to their EVs, and we are also positively engaged with the new age OEMs. And we, as I said, we have shortlisted 4 to 5 key OEMs which have shown some significant future growth, promise for growth, and we are discussing with them to see how we get lion's share of business from existing products also and EV products also. But that is, as I said, it's a work in progress, and we are already supplier to some of the old, the existing OEMs which also manufactures non-EV vehicles.
Okay. So last question is on this share in profit of associates. We have seen a big improvement in the quarter. Any particular company if you can highlight which has led to this sharp improvement, and whether this number is sustainable?
Share in profit of, you mean JVs?
Yeah, share in profit of associates which we report, which is 21 crore in the quarter.
Okay. So I was expecting that, Siddharth. Thanks, Atan. So let me tell you what has happened in last quarter is almost all our associate joint ventures, barring even KT and Onkyo, actually have done very well. Even KT and Onkyo, if you see Q3 versus Q4, both of them also had lower loss. So like in Q3, TT was 2 crore loss, now it is 1 crore, and Onkyo was 3 crore loss, now it is 1 crore. But otherwise, almost all the businesses have done better in terms of profitability, be it Roki Minda, be it METL. I think we also spoke about METL, which is now Minda Westport. Earlier it used to Minda Emmer, now they changed to Minda Westport because of the promoter. So they are also doing very, very well. The growth there is almost like 80 to 100%, which is the CNG kit. Roki Minda has been doing pretty well. Even our Denso 10, which manufactures the infotainment system, has done phenomenally well. TG Minda also has done well. So almost all the companies which we have done pretty well in last quarter. And some of them, as I said, have also got the price increases retrospectively.
Sir, any particular numbers if you can highlight for this Roki and the other one which you indicated for the quarter?
Siddharth, normally you know that we don't give that kind of split, but yeah.
Okay. But sir, this 21 number is more sustainable, you think, or you think this will normalize depending on how the commodity prices are moving?
So as I said, it has a component of some retrospective price increases. So to that extent, obviously it may not be sustainable, but that component is not more than 5-6 crores of the 21.
Okay, got it. Thank you, sir. I'll come back in that.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ronak from Systematics. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congrats on great results. My first question is on the Harita Ferrer acquisition. Did you mention in your opening remarks that we have already consolidated that 100% when we report the numbers? Did I hear that correct?
Yes, Ronak. First of all, thank you. Yes, because I maybe if you want to understand the accounting side requirement.
No. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, it has been since 1st April 19. It has been consolidated fully.
Okay. So basically the two
also has been considered as part of financials.
Okay, so the 252 crores doesn't have. I mean, it's just the 100% top line across the standalone Harita and the JV. That's
no, it has 100% top line.
Yeah, it has 100%, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So the other question was the profit from associates doesn't have anything from. That doesn't include anything, right?
Sorry, I missed your voice in between, Ronak.
So the Harita.
Mr. Ronak, there is a slight disturbance coming from your line, sir, while you are speaking. So once
Is
you
this
finish your
better?
question, request you to mute your line, sir.
Yeah, is this better?
Yeah, go ahead, Ronak.
Was checking, then profit from associates of this 21 crores doesn't include anything from Harita Ferrer. That's what I was.
No.
Because it was sudden jump.
That's a subsidiary, Ronak. That was even prior to that. With the 50% ownership, it was anyway a subsidiary. So it is just holding for 51,200.
Right. Okay, sure. And again on capex and investment, you highlighted capex will be 350 crores for growth and 250 crores maintenance. Anything on investment? How much are we targeting for the on the investment side in subsidiaries and JVs?
So as I mentioned, Ronak, the current plan is only 115 for increasing of share in Ferrer. Outside of that, as of now, we don't have any firm plans which we can share today. Okay, sure. And I mean, one thing which we have highlighted is the end segment mix of passenger vehicle and two-wheelers, which is mainly on our top line right now. But if we have to include our JVs as well, which because of India we are not doing. What would be, an approximate contribution from passenger vehicles? Because I believe the majority of the JVs are focused more on passenger vehicles, which I think have a better demand or they have better stability right now versus the two-wheeler segment. So would you have a ready number for FY21? It's a mix of both, Ronak, actually. Maybe we can take details number offline, but I can share this at a very high level. Like Roki is primarily two-wheelers, right? Which is having a lion's share in 21. Then similar to that, profitability is Denso 10, which is in four-wheelers. If I see the rest, majority you see is four-wheeler. So you are right, it will be tilted more towards four-wheelers and less towards two-wheelers.
Sure. And the other question was on sensors. Now, if we take 64 crores as the run rate which we achieved in Q4, could you highlight what are the other sensors which are getting added now, or all the sensors which we had planned to start manufacturing for have happened? So
yeah. So all the sensors which we started a year or so back, Ronak, have all been commissioned, and we are seeing the revenue from all of them in last quarter. Only additional thing which we are working on, as we also shared, are EV specific sensors which we are currently working on. And as you know that the volume for them, while it may not be significant, but once it grows, it will add to that overall portfolio.
Right. Sure. And just one feedback, the JV's profitability has become pretty substantial at 20 crores, even if we take 15 to 16 crores run rate. So if you can share some annual numbers, you said you won't
absolutely, but absolutely, we can.
I think we should have it at annual level if we can, share those numbers because.
No, absolutely, annual number anyway we have to share, Ronak, because that's the least we do. So Ankur, maybe once we have annual numbers, I'm sure they are already there. So we can share it with them whosoever wants.
Sure.
Yeah. Prior to the annual report release, if we can have those numbers, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, we'll do that, Ronak.
Okay. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Vimal Goyal from Union Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a great quarter. Sir, my question was on your EV portfolio. Just wanted to understand. Sir, my question was on your EV portfolio, electric vehicle portfolio.
Yeah.
Sir, just wanted some clarification. When you say that some of the products that are in development, are these products indigenously developed, or are they co-developed with along with some of the OEMs that you work with?
Yeah. So most of the products are. Yeah. So most of the products, if you see the slide number 18 and 19, are developed indigenously. Only one component, which is the battery management system, that is with our joint venture partner AMP, who are based out of US.
Okay, right. And sir, just if when you say that you're in your talks with some of the new age two-wheeler electrical OEMs are in progress. So what gives us the confidence that we'll be able to sort of have a similar breakthrough with these new age OEMs as we have sort of broken through with some of the existing OEMs so well over the past few years. So if you could just highlight what gives us that confidence.
Yeah. So Vimal, it's a very good question, and I'm sure you also track more than what we do. So what we know, and our knowledge may be limited, that some of the OEMs primarily are currently manufacturing the EVs with the import content being significant. Now we all know that what happened 20, 30 years back when Maruti started or Honda started, majority of the component has been imported, and gradually they have all been localized to make sure that they remain competitive, right? So we do expect all these people who are currently importing the components gradually go under localization. And once you localize, then obviously we are being one of the largest player, obviously would expect the business to be secured. And that's why we said we are in dialogue with them to convert maybe some of their imports or some of the other supplies. How do we localize and how do we create a win-win and create a value to them?
Right. So when you say you are having a dialogue, does it mean that some of your products are being tested as a pilot, or are there talks on that level?
So I don't want to be too specific, Vimal. I think, as I said, if you see the existing EVs already in the market, I don't want to name it. We already have products for both specific EVs and traditional components. Both are going in the existing EVs which are already running on the road.
Right. And some of your existing non-electric vehicle portfolio, non-electric vehicle specific portfolio like sensors or switches, those also would stay relevant for the electric two-wheelers or three-wheelers or four-wheelers, right?
Yeah. So if you see slide number 17, Vimal, you will get a perspective what will go in EV and what will not from our existing business.
Right. Fair enough.
We try to sort of give transparently the clear picture.
Right. And last one question. I think you mentioned the kit value increase in this year in scooters and mopeds and other areas was led by one was seating. What was the other area? If you could just repeat that.
Two-wheeler alloy wheels.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mukesh Saraf from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. First question is on the Harita seating business. So, I mean, with the current portfolio, which is largely commercial vehicles.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Saraf. So there is a disturbance coming from your line, sir.
Is it okay now?
No, sir. There is still a slight airy disturbance coming from your line.
Is it better now?
Yes, sir. You may go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So question is first on Harita seats. With the portfolio currently being largely commercial vehicles, how do you see this change? Because I think initially you had kind of mentioned that with Minda being running the business, there are some low-hanging fruits there. Two-wheelers, etc. So could you give some sense on how soon we can tap onto that market?
Yeah. So there are two aspects, Mukesh. Thanks for these questions. So first of all, HF Harita is not actually heavy on CV. So if you see, Harita seating is primarily into CV off-roads and other stuff, and Harita Ferrer is primarily into two-wheelers. So there actually last quarter or last year, HFRL revenue and performance has been much better than the seating business. And also, if you see from the revenue split perspective from the actual part, CV is maybe around 30% of the total sales. So it is not majority is others. And in terms of Minda, I think we also shared, I think a few quarters back, that we have actually, first of all, been maintaining transparency and making highest standards of governance so that we don't have any cross information sharing unless the transition is approved by the authorities. But despite that, we have been trying to help them to see and create a win-win or maybe cut the time of introducing them to our customers and they introducing them to our customers. So based on that, we have already secured some of the businesses from the Japanese OEMs for Harita, whom earlier they were not even getting an entry. and also one what you call bus manufacturer, which they were not supplying. And we also have got entry into one of their main customer, John Deere, for supplying switches. So there has already been work on accessing each other's customers which were not there, and which has already been converted into actual business.
Okay. Right. So this 750 going to 1500, this will be because of all these things. I mean, so the question I was also asking is that we got a sense that Ferrer was also helping us, or in terms of technology at least, they were helping in the passenger vehicle space. So how do we, I mean, are we now with acquiring Ferrer stake, do you think we are still kind of on track to get business even in the passenger vehicle space for seats?
No, so Ferrer actually, obviously once we went much deeper, Ferrer is not into passenger vehicles. So they are part of the bigger Hyundai group. Hyundai group has another entity which is into four-wheelers. So as a group, they do have that technology, but Ferrer, who is our partner, because we know that all these entities do keep full arm's length, and they don't talk to each other unless required.
Okay.
So Ferrer, while they were our partner, they were not into four-wheel seating, but their parents, maybe you can say their siblings, had that technology, which was not part of Ferrer.
Okay. So yours acquiring this stake doesn't really change your prospects now in the passenger vehicle space as such?
No.
Understood, sir. Understood. And my second question is on the sensors and controllers business. I think maybe last year or a few quarters back, you had mentioned that, it could be, the potential market there or the opportunity there could be as high as 600-700 crores in a few years. So now that we are at 60 kind of crores quarterly, and you say that we have kind of commercialized most of those sensors that we were initially working on. So any update on now what do you think can be the potential opportunity there for sensors, controllers together, including this EV opportunity now that we have?
Yeah. So, Mukesh, sensors and controllers put together, let me tell you, this 64 crores, I think it's only sensor business.
Okay.
I have to see controller. Controller actually has done around 10 crores in last quarter. So if you add both of them, it is already 75 crores, which is almost like 300 odd crore of run rate.
Right.
And based on the lot of products which we just saw, which are primarily into controller business, like your wireless charger or things like that, we have got a significant business, or AIS-40, the connected vehicle business. So we have to be confident still of that number, what we spoke about of 500-600 crores in next few years. We may actually be achieving that target even a year earlier than what we said in past.
Okay, great. Right. And last, just a bookkeeping one. This Harita merger now, any sense on what percentage shareholders have opted for the RPS, the redeemable preference shares, and what percentage have opted for the equity shares of Minda?
So there were two different timelines, one for the promoters and another for the minority shareholders. So promoters have all opted for preference shares. Minorities, I think the timeline has expired, I think last week, only 2 days.
10th of June, I think. So,
yeah, so team will be, I think, working on it. Hopefully we should know that in next couple of days. But as far as my information goes, majority being opted for equity.
Equity, right. Okay. Thanks a lot, sir, for this. I'll get back in the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Kale from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking the question, and congratulations on a very good set of numbers. My question was, you mentioned that there was a benefit of price increases. So would it be possible to quantify what was that benefit for the quarter and also for the full year?
No, so Nikhil, the way it works, I think you know that all our agreements, wherever we have a price adjustment clause or price increase clause for input cost increases. So when we start the discussion with the customers, definitely it is as per the agreement. But by the time you get the actual PO, there is a lag, and it spills over to maybe the quarter actually when you get it. And as per the accounting rules, we can't book the revenue unless we have a PO in our hand. So that is the key reason why you see that even historically, if you analyze for last 5-7 years, our Q4 is always one of the best quarter, because the price settlement normally, even though it starts in Q2, Q3, in some of the cases it actually goes to Q4. So when you get a price adjustment in Q4, part of it also relates to the previous quarters, and this is the normal industry practice, and this is not something which has happened first time.
Okay.
Now, in terms of actual amount, I honestly personally don't remember it. Maybe Ankur, you can check separately and talk to Nikhil.
Sure, I'll do that, sir.
Sure, thanks. And on the lighting division, I think it's been another quarter of very strong performance. So I just wanted to understand, I think we talked about orders worth almost 2.5 billion, if I'm not wrong, in the past. So just wanted to get an understanding of, is that order book started to, I mean, you've started to produce that, or is it still in the books, and when do you expect that to be commissioned and start coming into revenues?
Yes, Nikhil, the large part of that will come from somewhere in 22-23, start coming from. You know that the order to development or the product cycle is somewhere 1.5 to 2 years. And that is the key reason we are setting up a new plant in Gujarat also for lighting business. So the large part of that additional revenue of 200 crore plus will start flowing into income statement from somewhere in 22-23 and maybe peak in 23-24.
Okay, great. And just my last question is on the capex part. So you highlighted that we'll require almost 600 odd crore kind of capex and maybe 120 odd crore kind of investments. You also talked about that utilization levels in Q4 was around 85-90% across the different plants. So assuming that things open up well during the year, we might be hitting, and the recovery kind of kicks in, we might be hitting those kind of utilization levels again in the second half. So, I mean, we have been talking a lot about growth. We are seeing a lot of traction in terms of new order wins. So would it be fair to assume that primarily our focus right now is on growth, and also how do you kind of balance return ratios, because those will kind of be impacted given that you will maybe require to again go for some capex for say switches or some of the other divisions. Maybe not this year, but maybe FY23 or so.
Yeah. So this is the sustaining capex which we spoke about for 250 crores, right? That also considers some of our brownfield expansion, which when I say brownfield expansion, like existing plant, if I have to put a new line, if I have to develop a new product, if there is a new tooling required, they are all part of 250 crores which we have already considered as part of a budgeting exercise based on the annual volumes which we get from our customers. So any further growth which we all know from the OEMs, at the beginning of the year, the capex need for that has all been baked in. So we don't expect any additional capex beyond that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Vivek Ramakrishnan from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations on your numbers. My question has to do only with working capital. You had also mentioned that you had to build up working capital last year. Do you expect in the next 1 year the working capital levels to remain at the current levels, or is there any tighter control possible? Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Vivekji. So in terms of working capital, as I mentioned that last 10 days of last year, there was definitely a release from working capital, which went back once the unlock happened. Additional working capital has gone into the new businesses like the sensor business, additional, or maybe the alloy wheel business. So obviously, if you have to grow by whatever percentage points, your working capital, even the number of days remains same, you will have additional deployment in maybe inventory or maybe in debtors, and some of it in creditors also, which will offset. But on an overall basis, at a current level, if we were to assume, we will not need any significant additional working capital.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vasudev Banerjee from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Vohra sir, a few questions. One, you said Harita revenue 750 crore was down to 650 crore because of various segments in a decline mode last year. So 650 crore is the FY21 revenue for Harita, is it right?
Yes, you're right.
So just wanted to understand that if I look if I remember, Harita margins used to be high single digit as such. So in Q4, where direct 650 crore of Harita revenue being accounted, and the reported margin is still 13.5%. So how to understand whether existing business margin shot up significantly or Harita margin improved? Because despite including Harita, it is 13.5. So how to segregate that, sir?
Okay, let me try and explain you, Basudev. So last quarter, Q3, if you remember, our margin was 14.7%, right? That time there was no Harita.
Yeah.
So if we have to take apple to apple for Q4, our margins would have been 14.4%.
Okay. Okay. Understood. So rest one can understand what the margin for Harita as such.
Yeah, that's the delta. You're right.
Sure. Second thing, sir, the payment for residual Forer stake, has that been accounted in FY21 balance sheet already?
For what balance sheet?
The Forer, the
JV.
Yeah, that has been accounted. And last couple of things, two-wheeler alloy wheel plant which got set up. So how much has been the full year revenue, and what is the outlook for next fiscal? And as you were saying already, you are planning to set up the next brownfield there. So what's the update on that?
Yeah. So alloy wheel two-wheeler, last full year we did around 80 crore worth of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And our next year target is, if I remember correctly, is around 250 crore plus. But obviously with this Q1 impact, we have to adjust that.
Mm-hmm. And when you are expecting that to be at full, and you are targeting for the next phase?
Yeah, just on schedule. So we said, if I remember, 22-23 to achieve the full capacity, full revenue at 450 crore plus.
Okay. Okay. So there's
because you will appreciate that the fourth line actually will go under commissioning in the next quarter, and that will also have some time to stabilize, like we are having for existing lines. So that we are expecting that entire plant to get stabilized by end of this fiscal. So you have full revenue in the next fiscal.
And last question, sir, how's the progress of the European Carlite business which you acquired, and where revenue on a small base was improving? So now the semiconductor issues, etc. So what's the health of the business there?
I didn't get it, Vasu. Can you be a little specific?
The European car lighting business, car LED business.
Delvis?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how's the revenue panning out? Because on one side, semiconductor issues has been impacting European companies. So for Delvis, how has been the progress? And Delvis coming into India, the progress, as you were saying earlier. So how that is happening?
Yeah. So Delvis also, as we all know, that like the entire Europe, it has had a significant impact in the initial part of the year. So for last full year, they have done something like 220 crore worth of revenue. And last quarter, if I remember, was around 55 crore. So it's almost like in Q4, they had some impact because of this semiconductor shortage with the OEMs and some demand, movement. Otherwise, business has been stable, and we do expect that trend in terms of the run rate to continue. We're not expecting any significant jump up in Delvis revenues. But yes, the other business, which is the next door, is ISIS. So ISIS has been doing pretty well. And as I think we also mentioned in the presentation, they have been getting newer orders. So ISIS has done almost like 110 crores worth of revenue last year, which was almost, if I remember, year before that was around 75, 78 crores. So they have grown almost 40-50% in ICIS.
And last question, sir, if you can repeat, I missed out. So what was your guidance for FY22 capex plus investments?
Yeah, so you know that we have already announced 3 plants, which was the alloy wheel plant 60K expansion in Bawal, and the lighting plant in Gujarat, and blow molding in Bangalore, which is a movement of existing plant plus the bigger plant, and some spillover of AW2W, and we might have some spillover from these new plants next year. But overall, this year maybe around 350 crores for these additional capacities. And in terms of existing sustaining capex plus, we are talking a little while back about the brownfield expansion, which means they're putting additional lines or tooling, etc., etc. All that put together around 250 crores.
So around 600 crore maintenance brownfield plus new plants.
Yes.
And investments or M&A over and above that.
Yeah, that's 115 crore, which is for Harita Ferrer.
Oh. And then 15 crore, that got accounted in FY21 or that will be coming under 22?
No, it has been accounted for Basudeb.
Yeah.
Because
so
we have already consolidated. So once you consolidate, you have to book for the liability also.
Sure. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shashank Kanodia from ICICI. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. So I just want to understand on the gross margin front. So is there any further pressure on raw material front that should be booked in Q1 and Q2, or large part of it is largely accounted for on the RM cost front?
Shashank, your voice is actually missing a bit. I don't know if my line is bad or what.
Yeah, sir, I just wanted to ask on the raw material cost front. So because of increasing commodity prices, so that has come up 170 basis points sequentially, including Harita numbers. So going forward, is it expected to further deteriorate, or we have reached the maximum that it could impact us?
Yeah. So, Shashank, your point is very valid. So most of the customers, we have already agreed or in process of agreement for the price adjustment for the commodity prices. But what happens that once you do that, you have clauses for something like quarter average or half year average and things like that. So while you will agree that even if you get the average price, if the spot is higher, it may impact a little bit negatively, or the spot is lower, you may actually gain. So say for example, if you have an annual rate contract and you have agreed for X price and the spot is higher, it may negatively impact. But if the price is correct, then you actually benefit. So from that perspective, if everything was to remain same, then yes, a large part of it is already sort of aligned with our customers.
Okay. So secondly, sir, on the employee cost front, so this round about 300 crores should be a new quarterly run rate for us, combined with Harita?
Sorry, come again?
So on the employee cost front, we reported 297 odd crores this quarter. So roughly this 300 crore is a sustainable rate for us, right? Or there can be even more markups going forward?
No, so obviously you'll appreciate that for last year there were no increments. In fact, there were some rationalization done initially, which has been restated sometime in end of second quarter. So you will have increment-led increase in 21-22. Otherwise, all of that has been accounted for.
Right. And sir, lastly, sir, why enabling resolution for further equity issuance? As in, do you have any inorganic acquisitions in mind, or you can throw some light on that?
So we normally do that, Shashank. If you remember last year also we took same 700 crores. And you know that for issuing rights, you don't need this 700 crores. So anyway, that was done prior to that. So we always try and keep some enabling resolution in hand. So in case there is any need for the business which needs any recapitalization, we don't sort of spend time on approvals and things like that. So it is more as of now enabling approval. As of now, there is no proposal for any specific fundraising.
Right. And sir, lastly, on the free cash flow front, sir, obviously you are a growing company and you intend to grow ahead of the industry. Sir, any focus that you have on FCFs and any sustainable FCF that we should generate by FY23 onwards, or anything, any color on that front?
So there is definitely a very, very strong focus on free cash flow. And we all have what we call the business heads and CEOs KPIs, which are linked to generation of free cash flows, because there is no point that businesses do need to grow, but at the same time you need to hold your belt tight so that only the required amount is spent. In fact, we have got a very, very strong focus which are system-driven controls on inventory and debtors. So in case, for example, there is any increase in number of days, there is automatic lock in the system where you can't even generate invoice for that customer where they are overdues. So we have got a very, very robust and strong control on free cash flows. Now, where business needs for future growth, definitely we have to see that we do that and don't compromise on the medium to long-term growth of the business. In terms of FY23, as of now, we are not having a clear strategy plan. We have made 3 years back, but with this pandemic, everything has got reset. So we will be working on our next 5-year plan somewhere middle of this financial year. So maybe after that, once we do, then we will share with you what is our long-term plan for our growth and accordingly the cash flow as well.
I think you must appreciate this fact. For the last 5 years, we have hardly generated any FCF, right? And with the heavy capex announcement for FY22, even that is bleak for next year as well.
No, last year actually we had very strong free cash flow. If you remember, in FY20, we were significantly free cash flow positive.
Right.
So what I can share the number also. So last year our free cash flow was almost 500 crore plus.
I'll check, sir. I'll check on that one.
Yeah.
So lastly, if you can share the gross debt numbers for this year.
The free cash flow which I am talking, right, it is before project capex. So if you even put in project capex of 150 crore last year, you are 350 crore positive.
Yes, sure. I'll check on this.
Yeah.
So on the gross debt, what is the gross debt as of FY21 and FY20? If you can share the numbers.
Just a second. You are asking what is the gross debt for?
Yeah, as of March 21 ending and last year, corresponding year.
Okay. So our gross debt for console March 20 was around 1200 crores and March 21 is around 1050 crores.
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you so much and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vijay Sarthi from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Good evening, sir. I just wanted to check one. So if you look at Harita Seating, they're at 500 odd crores from 2000. Am I better now?
Voice is actually missing in between.
Am I better now? Is it okay?
Hello.
Is it okay now?
Yes, I could hear this sentence.
Okay, thanks. So I was asking, Harita is 2013-14 levels, the 500 odd crores revenue moving all the way to 975 crores. We had seen EBITDA margin just being flat at 8%. What is that Minda is doing that Harita could not do to improve margin? That's one question. Second is, now that historically you pointed about alloy wheels pricing have to be, margins are unsustainable. When do we expect that? That is one. So combining this, how does one look at margins going forward? That is one question. Second question is, now that Ferrer is out, as you said, they're also through Ondy, they are in India. And we are also hearing that they have made inroads in tractors and TVs. So how do you see prospects for Harita, given that there is a bit of both top line and
which your first point was on Harita? What was your point?
Yeah, my point was Harita was stable margin at 8% in the last 7-8 years.
Oh, margin. Okay.
Yeah, but so what is it you're doing that they couldn't do?
Yeah. So Vijay, I think we have got control of this company. You'll appreciate only from 1st of April 21, and we know how tough they have been on the entire country. So I think we have to take it with a pinch of salt. But in terms of Harita margin, as I said little while back, our first focus is to grow the business, because once you grow the business, then obviously the operating leverage, etc., comes and helps you in terms of margin enhancement. So our focus first is not only on margin enhancement, but primarily on business growth. And that's how we have been working with them and sort of introducing them to our customers whom they don't serve. somewhere we have successes, somewhere the discussions are going on. And in terms of growth, we just, I think, shared also that we are working to see that we double this company in next 3 to 4 years. Initially, we said 5 years, but when we are saying now, we should target that in 3 to 4 years, and not 2021 revenue, which was 650, but the previous year revenue, which was 19-20 revenue of 750 crores. So we are targeting around 1,500 crore worth of top line in another 4 years. That's on Harita and its growth. Then you asked about AW margin being sustainable. I think this point also we have been discussing that the more sustainable margin for AW, 2W, alloy wheel, 4W, 4-wheel will be around 18 to 20%, because as the time is moving, gradually the old orders or the old orders which were at the premium pricing because of the import substitution, volumes have been reducing, and all the businesses we are getting are at the competitive rates. Now, I'm sure the question is always when we see others, the margin are even not in that range. So if you see from our operations perspective, we have a top decile cost in globally. I think I shared this point in last time also, that we have been asked by a joint venture partner to give training to their other plants to how to run the plants. And our wastages and our efficiencies are among the top decile, and that is what is helping us maintain that kind of, or guide that kind of margin. So that is on the AW alloy wheel 4-wheeler. Then you mentioned the Ferrer is out. I could not get your point about tractor and PV, because we continue to serve all those customers. In fact, we are the preferred suppliers for one of our global customers. But if you can just elaborate a little bit, you said Ferrer is out, but they are in India. I didn't get that point.
To Audi, they are also supplying automotive fabrics, and we hear that they've also got orders from some of the tractor players, and also into making inroads
so
into.
We are not into fabric, right? We don't.
We're not into fabric. We're not into fabric. Fittings also. They're also looking. They've also got orders. So something that we get to know.
So we'll check it out. That's a point for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you. Due to the time constraint, this was the last question. Now, I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Sunil Bohra for closing comments.
Yeah. Thank you. So many thanks everyone for joining us today. I wish you and your near and dear ones the best of health and happiness. Stay safe. Many thanks.
Thank you. On behalf of Minda Industries, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.